to do. When I'm asking all of them to reapply, it's because I want them to do that. And I think that's the difference.
Thank you. Can I ask you the same question?
Look, I agree with some of the things he's done and others I do not. I think on transportation, he has fought for more dollars. I think on public safety, he has pushed for us to have the 10,000, which I was there from the beginning of making sure we had that $10,000 number. But I think if you look, I asked that question earlier, do you think your life is better in the city of Los Angeles today? And it's not. There's a lot of problems with management and focusing in on it. I'm the kind of gal that rolls up my sleeves. I don't just want to be the mayor, I want to do the job of mayor. And the job of mayor is what we've worked on together, which is fixing our communities and our neighborhoods, talking about planning and making sure you have the right people on your planning commissions, making sure that you have the people who are going to deal with it. And your general managers, again, I know today who's done well and who hasn't. Make sure you hold them accountable. So I think there's been some good things, but I would challenge on the ability to get the public works and the other things that are happening in our city. We need to make sure that we don't have the kind of job losses that we had during the last several years, and the importance of making sure that we're focusing on job creation.
Thank you. Okay. Short, very short answers, like 1 or 2 sentences. Nate, what's one policy difference you have with the current mayor? Start with Wendy.
I would say my current one has been on his budget choices. It's with my opponent as well, which was cutting the fire department.
Okay.
And the fire service.
You wouldn't cut the fire department?
I would not. That would not have been what I would have done.
All right.
Just for the record, 2009, Ms. Greuel did vote to cut the fire department. My difference, I think, with him was I didn't want to sell off our city assets in the midst of a budget and a fire sale. The mayor proposed that we get rid of our parking lots, which I thought would do nothing to structurally balance our budget. It was a way that we wouldn't do the difficult work of things like pension reform, and as city council president, I helped to do that.
Would you want the mayor's endorsement?
Yes, I want everyone's endorsement.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Do you think, will he endorse? He said he has
Gotta ask him, I don't know.
Yeah, he said,
Let's call him up right now.
All right. Do you support legalizing recreational marijuana like Colorado or Washington did recently?
I support medical marijuana legalized.
So that's a no?
If the voters voted for it, I would respect that. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't have a strong position, I think, for it.
Can either of you explain concisely what the competing medical marijuana initiatives are on the ballot? I think there's 3 of them, right? D, E, and F.
You both support D, right?
You both support D, which
E is something nobody's for. It's just on the ballot from signatures. The folks who put it on there no longer support it, so you can just take D out of your mind. F, E, sorry, E like Eric. Forget E. E is gone. E, don't do E. D is the one that's put on there that would have a smaller number of dispensaries. They would have better worker conditions, I believe, and would collect a higher fee so that we could regulate them. F would allow many more of them, although they're claiming that it doesn't. If you look at it,
so D is the one you support.
D is what I support, absolutely.
Do we have too many medical marijuana facilities in the valley?
Yes.
That's kind of an obvious one, right? I know you're a naval officer, but the question is, do you own a gun at home?
No, I do not.
Do you own a gun?
No.
Do either of you feel passionate about that issue, gun control?
Yes.
You want to expand on that a little?
Well, and I've been impacted by it in my own family, from a murder-suicide at my family's business to my relatives being murdered, although not by a gun because the guy's gun actually jammed, but in Ventura. And I think that we need more gun control, and did support the federal legislation that did not pass today for background checks and others. It shouldn't be easier to get a gun, or that mental health services are more difficult to get than it is a gun. And so I think for me, we had in the North Valley where I lived, with the JCC, where someone came with a gun. I just think that it is impacting our neighbors and our own, me as well.
As a military officer, I know that assault weapons are there to kill people. And I think it's appalling that Senator Feinstein only got 40 votes to ban assault weapons, and that this vote that just happened today on background checks, supported by 86 to 90% of Americans, including overwhelmingly by gun owners, that a few Democrats and many Republicans opposed and didn't go through today. At the local level, though, we have worked very hard on this. I've personally written legislation to look at things from open carry, which many people wanted to have open guns on the streets of Los Angeles, which is more dangerous to them than anything else. Ask any police officer. to ban 50 caliber weapons and bullets, which are also not there to protect yourself. You can get a shotgun and protect yourself in your home without having the ridiculous laws that we have sometimes out there, but California generally has done a much, much better job. It's time for national action that mirrors what we've done here.
Should the California high-speed rail project be scrapped? I know you're not governor.
I'm not governor. I think that, and I just think of some way to say this, but I think the ship has sailed in some ways of where it's going forward. I think when people voted for it, they thought, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. I thought the ship may have sailed on some of that, on that particular issue, that when people voted for it, they didn't think it would be as expensive, lots of different things. My position is that we need someone who's watching very closely how that money is being spent and where it's going, and that the jury is still out, and I don't think we should say we're ready for it tomorrow.
No, I don't believe it should be scrapped, but it shouldn't be built at any price either. And the reason why I still support it is I think it's important. We'll see high-speed rail throughout this country. If we land that industry here, just like aerospace when it came here decades ago, trust me, California will be the center for building this around the country. Those are high-wage jobs, and it's important technology.
A couple more quick questions, then we'll wrap it up. Eric, who is a political figure, locally, nationally, internationally, that you admire the most, and why, and how has that influenced you?
My father, and not just because he's here, but I'll tell you why, not for the reason you think. I think he had a great career as a public servant. I grew up, he was a deputy district attorney. But I love how he has left politics, and now, look at the man. He is now a photographer and somebody who is a producer of television. It shows me life outside of politics is going to be even more exciting, and that you can never define yourself by the job title you have when you're in politics. It's who you are that's more important.
I think I know what you're going to say. I think I know who you're going to say.
I think you thought I was going to say Mayor Bradley, didn't you?
I did.
You did. Although I respect him, and many times I talked about being my mentor. But Dianne Feinstein. Yeah, because Senator Feinstein has been one of those people who works across the aisle. She takes on tough issues. She is fiscally responsible. She gets into the details of things. Boy, if you talk to her, she knows her stuff. And she is someone who stood up for what she believes in. And all we can ask of our elected officials is to be who they are and to stand up and say something's wrong and how you're going to solve it. And I respect her tremendously.
A couple more quickies. Will you support Valley secession if it came up again?
I didn't at the time when I was running for city council, because I would have been this is not the reason, but I would have been the shortest term city council member if the secession had passed. But what I did say is the best way to make sure you never have secession or people don't vote for it is to do your job and never forget about the Valley, and that's what I did as your city council member.
I fought very hard, just the same way that I fought hard to keep Hollywood in Los Angeles. This is the city I grew up in, here in the Valley, Los Angeles. But as mayor, as I mentioned, I'm going to be working out of Van Nuys, City Hall. I'm going to make sure we get things like Department of Cultural Affairs dollars here in the Valley where they're not spent, and making sure that we look at the needs of the Valley sometimes that are overlooked, whether it's public safety, street paving, or other things, come back to this Valley. It's the heart of the city.
Since he's here, Bob Hertzberg proposed a borough system, similar to maybe New York. What do you think of that idea?
I love my Bob Hertzberg, but I opposed the borough system. I thought it was another level of bureaucracy. I thought it was another level of being able to make it even tougher to get to the local level. I actually favor empowering more at this local level our neighborhood councils to have some land use decision-making power, to get them more engaged and more involved, and take the next step forward with kind of the very neighborhood level of democracy.
Another level, I was getting better than city council.
Right.
What do you mean?
I supported the boroughs. In fact, introduced the motion, and Bob and I sat for hours working on devolving power from 15 council members down to the community level and things that impact you. We have to do more of that. You are the people that are impacted every single day about decisions, and it shouldn't be made by downtown City Hall. It should be made by all of you in the communities.
Thank you. All right, some quick ones. Children's Museum, it's a controversial project in the Valley. Should it be funded, or should the funding be eliminated from the city, by the city?
first. Sure.
I opposed using actually Department of Water and Power money for this. I was opposed to it on the record. I did not vote for that. We need a children's museum in Los Angeles. You go to other cities like Indianapolis and other places, it's a huge part of who they are. But it shouldn't come on the back of taxpayers. We should be able to raise this privately with foundations. The way most museums are built, the city can provide land for it, as it has in the past, but absolutely not be built with taxpayer dollars, especially when we're cutting city services in the midst of a recession.
Although I wasn't on the council, I voiced my opposition to any of the city funding being used for the Children's Museum. But I will say something. Bob, the San Fernando Valley has been shortchanged. People forget about it, and we need that Children's Museum, and we need to find the money and to help raise it. Bob Hertzberg is one of those people who helped identify some of the state money and some private sector money. And as mayor of Los Angeles, I will make sure that we identify those funds, not city funds, but other funds, to make sure the Valley has its fair share and that we have a Children's Museum for the children of the entire city, but most importantly here for the San Fernando Valley.
All right, last question before your closing statement. Is it possible to describe your view of Los Angeles today in one or two words? Some people say it's broken, some people say it isn't. How would you, if you had to describe Los Angeles in one or two
I already
words?
said I believe that the system is broken, but I will tell you that in a few words, incredible, inspiring, unbelievable, and worth fighting for.
Beautiful, powerful, rich with potential, ready for the next chapter.
Before we do with the closing, a couple things. Number one, after the meeting, please come up and meet with the candidates. One of these two people is your next mayor. So this is your chance to explain what's important to you to them. Number two, please help us by cleaning the tables when you're done, before you leave. And number three, next meeting, the third Wednesday next month, is the debate among the two candidates for city controller. Back to you. And also want to thank Bill Schuman, moderator, and John Eisen for helping out.
All right, thanks very much. Did we learn something?
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's something that you can take away from this. Since Eric won the coin toss and was able to speak first in the opening statement, we'll let Wendy Greuel go first and take as much time as you'd like, as long as it's like about 2 minutes.
I think we have to be in the 2 minutes, so. Thank you so much for coming tonight and listening, and for caring about the future of Los Angeles. And I want to thank Mr. Garcetti for being here tonight too, because I do believe he loves LA as much as I do. But we are different. And you do have a choice on May 21st in this election. Unlike my opponent, I do believe that City Hall is broken, and I believe you feel the same way. Optimism has faded, while mediocrity has become the order of the day. Are you satisfied with seeing businesses leave every single day? No. Are you satisfied with schools that are failing our kids and traffic choking our neighborhoods and our quality of life diminishing every single day? I don't think so, because I'm not satisfied. That's why I'm running for mayor of Los Angeles, to fix our broken city government, to make sure that we have someone who is going to lead Los Angeles forward with the best ideas, the right priorities for our communities and our neighborhoods, and the strong, proven leadership we need for a change. Listen, I had a life before I became an elected official. As I said, I was born just a few miles away from here. Lived here, worked here. This is my home. My son goes to public school here in the San Fernando Valley. I learned the hard work and entrepreneurship from my dad and our family business in the San Fernando Valley. I've learned how important it is to focus in on the issues that are so important. Because as council member, I distinguished myself as a city council member who focused in on basic city issues: quality of life, trimming trees, filling potholes, making sure we have good after-school programs, and yes, a senior citizen center that we can be proud of. As city controller, I have identified more than $160 million in wastewater abuse. Everything in my training has prepared me to stand here before you today and ask for your vote. To give you the opportunity to lead Los Angeles boldly and independently. I'm proud to have support from, yes, President Bill Clinton, from, yes, former Mayor Dick Reardon, firefighters, police officers, and so many others who say, we know Wendy can lead this city. They want a leader who's going to be able to bring this city together. And I can do that, and I can do that with your help, and make you all proud because you make me proud every single day. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Phil and Richard. Thank you to everybody who took time out of your evening to be here tonight. And thank you to Ms. Greuel as well for her record of public service and for the work that she's done. This has been a long, long campaign, and we have 34 days left. It's very exciting. Having grown up here, I learned what the meaning of community is. I understood that that was knowing your neighbor, that was having a city that was there for you, whether it was an ambition you had or whether it was a time when you were down on your luck. My campaign is clear. I want to grow Los Angeles' economy, create jobs, revitalize our neighborhoods. And I come before you as somebody with a track record of having done just that. Yes, there is a difference in accomplishments over the last decade. The tough decisions on pension reform, which have yielded hundreds of millions of dollars of savings and saved the city. Of neighborhoods that are reborn, that are national models now, of that Main Street coming back, of a safer city, of having a park within walking distance, of helping small independent businesses get up on their feet and grow into medium-sized businesses as well. I'm going to be a back-to-basics mayor that's going to focus on things like job training so that we can bring back the prosperity that we had, as I fought for in Van Nuys with the aviation mechanics training program, as I've done in my own districts. We've seen healthcare and entertainment jobs come back. As council president, I pushed through budget cuts and pension reform that I mentioned didn't always win me a lot of friends, but it was the right thing to do, and it proves my independence. You see, for me, independence isn't just a word, it isn't just rhetoric, it's something real. I'm not the hand-picked candidate of the DWP union. I'm not the hand-picked candidate of downtown power brokers. But what I will promise you is that every single day I will do the same work that I have as city council member, as city council president, and as a proud Angelino to do what's right and to make sure that we make tough choices. Here's the bottom line in this election. You can choose somebody who has made sure that accomplishments, not attacks, are the cornerstone of his campaign, who have looked at independence, not at making sure that we have exaggerations or other things. Somebody who has shown the street level health is the most important place to rebuild Los Angeles. I ask you for your vote on May 21st and help us get more people out to vote, because 20% is not right and it is not a reflection of our democracy. But I promise you I will come back here as mayor in the fall, if I'm lucky enough to be elected, to come before you and to start the work of not just helping to continue to rebuild Sherman Oaks and the San Fernando Valley, but this entire great city of Los Angeles. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Also, I noticed that Councilman Paul Kretz, stand up please, is here. Thank you for coming, and thank you, and look forward to seeing you next month. Come on up.